Hey, Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And what we have this time is the Matsubara Aogami or Blue number 2 Nashiji Nakiri 165mm knife. And this has a semi-custom bog oak handle on it, which is really awesome. We'll take a close-up look at that in a minute. The construction on these is 3 layers, and the hardcore center cutting steel is Aogami or Blue Paper number 2 reactive high carbon steel. Heat treat is typically around 62 Rockwell for that core steel. The cladding on either side of that core steel is a soft stainless cladding for support, so that reduces the maintenance a little bit on it. And the cladding on this does come up over the top of the spine as well. But these are cool looking knives with a lot of character to them. The weight and dimensions will definitely vary a little bit from knife to knife because the thicknesses will be different and the way they're cut and handmade and ground. So you'll get a little variation on these. This particular one is 197 grams or 6.9 ounces. Edge length was right about 160 for the usable edge. The overall length is about 313 millimeters or 12.3 inches from the end of the top here to the handle. And spine thickness, these are fairly thick knives. That's just this maker style. So I'm getting almost 4 millimeters at the back here, which is not unusual for them. And then I got about 2.4 halfway down the blade. And it carries that, maybe thins out a little bit in the 2-ish range as it gets towards the end here at the top. But it's a very stiff Nakiri. It's got a little, bit of mass to it. Blade height is 51.2 millimeters at the back and about 50.75 halfway down. So it's not a super tall Nakiri, but it's definitely got a lot of board clearance for you. The handle is a batch that the Isaiah Schrader Knife Works is doing, and that is octagonal bog oak with a maple ferrule and a blackwood, maple spacer and a blackwood ferrule, and they've tapered these down as it gets towards the front, and it's really nice in the hand. It's a good, comfortable feel. You can use that as an index if you want, but it just kind of flows into your hand very nicely with that tapered ferrule on it. So fit and finish is excellent on these. Nice kind of a taper to the dimension as you get towards the front, but just excellent craftsmanship on these handles. They're beautifully made, and that's quite an heirloom style handle. It really elevates some of these knives to another notch, so another level as it were. Circumference on this one's about 72 millimeters or a little under 3 inches, right where the wood starts coming into the spacer there. And again, just excellent craftsmanship on these handles. So the balance point, these handles are fairly heavy, the bog oak, so that's going to bring the balance point of this knife back a little from where it would be with a lighter handle, but still quite reasonable. It's, for me, if I pinch it, my pinch is going to be a little in front of that, so it kind of gives you a fairly neutral feel, maybe slightly handle heavy bias, but not much, depending on where your pinch is, but it's still got a fair amount of mass to it for some cutting or chopping power. Again, very stiff blade. This was really sharp out of the box. Pretty nicely crafted edge bevel. I'll give it my 6 out of 10, possibly even 7 out of 10 scale. Very, very sharp. Let's get our kind of beauty shot on this guy here. So you can see there's a fair amount of handcrafted character to these, and each one's going to be a little unique. Got a lot of hammering characteristics going on here where they're thinning it out from the back of the knife out towards the front, and you've got deeply embedded hand engraved or chiseled kanji on it. You can run your fingers over there and feel it. You've got what's known as a Nashiji or a pear skin type mottled finish on it on the sides, and then a kasumi style finish going down into where the cladding gives way to the core steel, and there's your shiny cutting edge bevel right there at the end. Here's the left side of the blade, or excuse me, the right side of the blade, as you'd be holding it, using it. Again, Nashiji finish, a fairly smooth finish, but you can see hammer marks and some variations there that makes every knife unique, and definitely a lot of blacksmith, craftsmanship and character on these. So it's a really neat line of knives. So let's take a look at it on the cutting board. Here is our edge profile, and most Nakiri knives are pretty flat. This one is really quite flat. It flows in and just kind of stops at the back. So this one's quite flat, although you do have that rounded tip on it, or the end of the blade. So you could rock with this if you wanted to a little bit, but it's definitely got the chopping profile to it for sure. And again, this one is flatter than many Nakiri style knives that I have seen. So some are quite flat like this one, some have just a little bit of belly to them, but this one is definitely flat. So if your thing is chopping and you want flat, 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 this is your knife. So, but this is, again, a cool knife. It's going to have a lot of authority on the cutting board. It's stiff. It's, you know, got some oomph to it. It's just a neat blade. Stainless cladding for a little bit easier maintenance on it. So, neat line. So this particular one is the Matsubara Aogami, or blue paper number 2, Nashiji Nakiri 165mm with the bog oak handle.